What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Waters. Today, I'm freaking hyped because we have Anders Holm on the podcast. To some of you, he may be Durs if you're a big fan of Workaholics, but he has done so much more than that. He is a producer, he is a writer, he is a comedian, he is a podcaster of a very successful podcast called This Is Important. He is also a former swimmer at the University of Wisconsin and a huge swim fan. So we talk all about NCAAs. We talk about his predictions of this upcoming summer. We talk about his favorite memories, NIL, as well as diving into his own career and his transition into the entertainment industry. We cover it all. It's so much fun. My cheeks hurt from laughing so much from this episode. We know you'll enjoy. So without further ado, Anders Holm.
As Olympians and elite athletes, Katie and I definitely understand the importance of sleep and recovery, but now just as a mom, as a professional, as podcast host, we still understand that sleep is so important. And we are incredibly thankful to one of our sponsors, Dream Recovery, for creating such incredible and impactful products that are science-backed to help you get the optimal night's sleep.
My favorite product is the Pink Dream Tape. I have not stopped wearing it since I put it on my mouth 6 months ago. It helps me fall asleep faster and gives me the best night's sleep I've ever had.
And for those of you that are a little hesitant about mouth taping, they just released mouth strips. So it's a little strip as opposed to the full tape. It has all the same benefits as a full piece of tape, but it's a little bit more of a segue for those who are a little bit nervous or are wanting to try out something. And I have been loving those.
So we've got a special code for you. It's code UNFILTERED for 30% off your order and 50% off your first month subscription of Dream Tape. Sweet dreams.
Good night. Create gummies have been such a lifesaver for me. Not only are they supporting my strength and recovery goals, but they also help increase your energy by boosting your ATP production inside the body. And as a mom of a 2.5-year-old, I am always looking for ways to boost my energy. Create gives us the ability to stay consistent when on the road and in our busy schedules. It's grab and go, they are delicious, and their brand new flavor, sour green apple, is out of this world. Try the incredible sampler pack of all 4 flavors and find which flavor is your favorite. You guys can use code UNFILTERED for 20% off your order. Try the new flavor out and let us know what you think.
All right, Anders Holm, welcome to Unfiltered Waters. We are so pumped to have you.
What up?
What up? Before we jump in, I have to share a confession. So I have been married almost 9 years.
Okay, all right.
I know we're starting that quick. So I've been married almost 9 years. And when I was first dating my husband who played at Michigan State, so Big Ten school,
Sure.
we went out, had fun, super hungover, and we binged Workaholics for like 12, 14 hours. And that was the beginning of our relationship. So thank you.
Now we're talking.
You were
That's
the
the way to
base
do it.
of a 9-year-long
What-
and going strong marriage.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised how often I hear that exact story with people who played at Michigan State. Not sure what they played.
Football.
What did he
football.
play?
He was a football
Football?
player. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. We got football players on lock. No, that's great to hear. It was always something like, at a certain point, you would just run into like packs of guys on the street and they'd be like, we all watch you together. We all watch you all together every week, So it's very cool to like have a TV show where people can watch it like with other people and it's kind of more fun, more like communal.
Yes. I'm sure that never gets old hearing that.
It does when you're with your kids and people are shouting things I probably shouldn't say on this podcast.
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and that is so.
I'll save it. I'll save it.
We know the ones that know.
The ones that know.
We know what's being shouted.
Well, my favorite episode is Fully Torqued. I won't say more details than that, but that is my favorite episode. So
let's just say there's some Speedo action.
Some Speedo action. We'll leave it at that.
Let's leave it at that.
Well, we know know so many of our listeners and people that are watching know you for your amazing comedy, your amazing acting, who you are in the entertainment industry. And we are excited to show both that side of you and the swimming side of you as well. So
Let's
we're
do
so
it.
excited to talk about both aspects of who you are. And we kind of wanted to take it way back and go to swimming at Wisconsin and
Yeah.
really how you got started in swimming in the first place. And if you
Yeah.
ever thought that you were going to swim in college, if that was a dream of yours, or if that was just kind of an opportunity that at that point you were like, heck yeah, why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah, yeah. So I started super early. I started at 5 on a club.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was only because I had 2 older brothers that swam, and my parents were like, "So you're here also now, right?" And I'm like swimming in like the little back pool with like an inner tube because like I can't swim for an hour and a half or whatever it was. But that was that. And then I was always like, okay. I don't think I was doing like even JOs until I was 12, Junior Olympics. Um,
Just to clarify.
and then I remember, right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, my audience might be here too, and that might be confusing for them.
Yes, we have to do that all the
Um,
time, check ourselves.
right. And so kind of like got the bug. I was like, oh, this is cool. Start going to like zones and stuff. And like it becomes more and more part of your identity. And when my brothers were swimming in high school, they were pretty good. But like I would look up to like the stars on the team, and I remember oldest brother was a senior. There was a guy who was a freshman who made varsity, and I was like, oh, like that's what I want to do. I want to make if I can make varsity as a freshman, like that's some G type stuff. So my goals were never like that crazy because there were no like Olympians from my high school or anything. Then you get to high school, and I did make varsity as a freshman, which was very cool. Um, but then you start like hearing about the better swimmers who came before you, who went to college and swam, and you're like, oh, okay, like this is it keeps going. Got to high school and you like hear about guys swimming in college and you go, oh, okay, like this can keep going. And as a freshman and sophomore, like I wasn't that competitive. And then I guess you could say I developed.
Mhm.
I had like a growth spurt, you start like putting on a little more muscle and all that. And then like junior and senior year, I had like more like breakout swims and was like a contender in state and all that. And started getting recruited and stuff. And I like for me, I was a horrible student, like did not care, like wasn't interested in school at all. But like my brothers went to college, and I would visit and I'm like, this seems kind of cool and fun. I just can't get into that, right? So swimming became kind of my best shot at getting into a decent school. And that got me to Wisconsin. I would know there's no way I would get into the fine institution of UW-Madison without swimming. So, you know, um, not that I was using swimming as like a tool, and that I didn't like it at all, and like that this was just my way in, but I was like, the faster you are, the better school you're gonna get into, and like, the more options you're gonna have. So that was a little bit of a motivator for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that
Yeah.
point, were you interested in the improv comedy sketch piece, or did that not hit till later?
Yeah, so in high school, as a freshman, I also made it into this comedy show, which it was also like it'd be like making varsity as a freshman. Like there was 3 of us, I think. Um, and so that was also very validating for just like my performing capacity or whatever you want to call it. Like, so for my freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I also would do this comedy show that was like an SNL, but written by kids, performed by kids, sketch comedy, and also like short scenes and musical type stuff, like between. Um, and then senior year, I quit that to focus on preseason for swimming and, kind of focused on that. And set all that aside when I was in college for the most part. Um, anyway, yeah. So I was juggling both of those things. I always had like multiple feet in multiple doors trying to do other stuff because I not that I would get bored by swimming, but like you just want to have other stuff. Or I was always interested in stuff, and all my friends were busy doing absolutely nothing.
Mm.
And like having you get some FOMO. You have friends doing absolutely nothing, but those are like the memories also of like kids hanging out doing absolutely nothing, and you're like, oh, I wasn't even there for that funny inside joke that we all have now,
Mhm.
right? But my parents were like, after school, I had to go to my dad's office in town and like sit there and do my homework before practice, and all my other kids were like on the train tracks, like doing graffiti and stuff, and I was like, that seems cool. Wearing a Speedo, not so
Yeah.
much, you know. But like Illinois high school swimming, like some states, it's not a big deal. Um, in Illinois, it's a big deal. Like Ohio, it's a big deal. I live in California now. It's less of a big deal here. It's more club oriented. So I had a blast representing like Evanston Township High School, where I grew up. And that was a cool thing. And then you get to college, and it's like, oh, you were an All American. Everyone was an All American,
Yeah.
like since they were sophomores, right? Like, um, so it becomes a different type of like, oh, you're not just like 6'3" and it's kind of easy. Like everybody here is also like hyper competitive and works hard and comes from like these institutions of training and blah blah blah. So like the mindset has to change. Your mind, it was kind of a rude awakening.
Yeah, that's a hard transition, and it's a great transition to talk about too, because we have a lot of athletes that are in high school that want to swim in college, and I
Yeah.
love talking about it because I think it's super important. Everyone has such a different experience. So, how
Yeah.
did you handle that transition, kind of going in and realizing like, oh, maybe this is a little bit more serious than you were anticipating or that you had experienced before up to that point?
Yeah, the thing for me was we didn't have, and I'm not trying to bag on this dude, but we didn't have like a serious high school swim coach until I was a junior. We got a new guy who was a Canadian Olympian who knew what he was talking about, swam for Doc Councilman at Indiana.
Mm.
Shout out Kevin Auger. Um, and he was like, "Hey, if you want to be fast, like we can do this." But I was kind of like, I like having fun, like um and I did like change my stroke here and there. Like he came in and was like right away like, "Hey, you only breathe to this side of the pool." Right? I'm not going to make you breathe every third, but I'm going to make you only breathe to this side. So you're always breathing to your right going down and your left coming back, right? And I was like, I'm not gonna, I can't do that. I was just like, there's no way. There's no way that's gonna happen. That being said, I think 4 years later, after he took our coaching job, the coaching job, they were national champions, my high school. So like, I don't know, maybe I could listened a little more. Um, but so I didn't have that much of like serious training under my belt. Then you get to college, and a lot of people have, and a lot
Mm.
of people are workhorses. Some people are natural athletes. Other people, as you guys know, you guys might be these people. Like the practice is everything. It's
Mhm.
more than it's not more than it's up there with the meat,
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I was like, if I just do the stuff on the board, I'm good, right? I didn't do it with like intention every
Mm.
day. I didn't do it with intensity. I'm not a very competitive person. What I enjoyed about swimming was the clock,
Mhm.
like I never understood. It's like getting your hand on the wall first. I'm like, yeah, but like if you didn't PR, does that matter? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like, I was more about PRs, and like, if I lost the race and got a PR, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't control this other person. Like, they swam lights out, or maybe they had a bad swim and it still beat me. I don't know. But you do get to college and you find people who, and I tell this to anybody who's got a kid of any sport, who they're like, you swam in college, like he wants to do college, she wants to do college sports, and I go, are they super competitive about everything? Like, are they the person who, like, calls shotgun, or, like, when you play Monopoly, they toss the board and, like,
Oh God.
have, like, a fit of rage when they lose?
Katie.
Yeah.
Then even if they're pretty good, they're gonna be given all the tools and everything, the knowledge to become great,
Mm.
because they'll want it that bad. I don't think I had that capacity. I'm like kind of a pushover where I'm like, I don't know. That seems like a lot of work. Like, can't we have fun and like be pretty fast? We have to make the Olympic team.
I feel like that's a super healthy way to look at it too. Like you probably enjoyed it far more than the Monopoly flipping board people because you're just having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a toss up because at sometimes I would like envy the commitment of everybody else
Mm.
who I didn't get like remarkably faster in college. I got like a little bit faster. Um, and I lost a ton of weight. Like I think in high school I was swimming at like high 170s, and then after my senior or my freshman year, I was racing at like 160 something, and I was
Oh.
like, where did I go? Like, where's my like body? Like, I just was given like a load of training I'd never had, and I don't know if I like rose to that or if I was like, I think this sucks. I don't like this anymore. I
Mhm.
don't feel as strong. Um, and they also kind of when you're coached at that level, if you have something about like your dive or like your stroke, like that isn't as efficient, like their job's to go, hey, don't do that. That's not as efficient. But then you're like, but that's how I do it. And if you hang on, if you have I have like an ego about like, yeah, but I have like a little giddy up to my stroke. And they're like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have that. You should be a little smoother. Um, Especially but then you go like, "Yeah, but, like, Phelps kinda has one." Um,
He does.
like, so they beat that stuff out of you because you're like, "Yeah, I guess I do wanna be fast," and then you end up maybe not feeling like yourself.
Mm.
I don't know, and it's up to you to decide, who you are at that point, like, are you your stroke or are you someone who wants to be faster?
Mhm.
It's interesting, or maybe it's not, and people are like, "Turning this one off."
Yeah, the
I'm gonna go
robots of
listen
the
to
world
Ryan
that are
Murphy, who was really fast, you
yeah,
know?
No, I
exactly.
think that's so insightful. I really do. And I think having your perspective on is it's so refreshing too to have a different kind of perspective. And a
Mhm.
lot of what we
Mhm.
talk about too with our guests and our athletes is this sense of identity. And a lot of times when you're at that
Right.
level and you are swimming collegiately, you're swimming professionally, and maybe you are the Monopoly game board thrower.
Forever my
Right.
name now.
That's your new
Yeah.
identifier.
Mhm.
You identify with what you do, and so your identity and who you are and your self-worth can get wrapped up in your sport. And so I'd
Right.
love to know if, with the perspective that you had with swimming, did that ever happen with you with swimming, or has that ever happened with you as a comedian and as an actor?
Yeah, oh, for sure, like, cause as soon as you get to Hollywood, you're typecast, right? It's
Mm.
like, "Oh, you look like this. People are gonna see you as this," and it's kind of 2 sides where people might see you as something, and if you behave like the juxtaposition of what they think that's gonna be, it's kind of, noticeable, like, you're
Mm.
memorable. Everyone goes, "Oh my god, like, I thought they were gonna be this," and then they're a whole other thing. Or people go, how about you just be like the bad guy from an '80s movie, right? Like, that's what you look like. Let's keep you there.
We've made you a
Um,
box, stay in it.
Yeah.
right. And you can do that and find work that way because people go, oh, perfect. You look like what we're looking for, and you did the thing.
Mhm.
Great. Or you can look like the thing and bring more and challenge people, but then you do have to be like talented enough or remarkable enough that they go, you know, this isn't what we thought we wanted, but like this, like we can't stop watching this. You know what I mean? Um, and you become like um recognizable as opposed
Mm.
to like famous, right? There's all these
Mhm.
people we know who might not be like the stars of movies, right? But they're almost as recognizable because they're the one person that looks like this, that talks this way, that makes you go, I'm sorry, I'm never going to forget this person,
Mhm.
Um, like my friend Fortune Feimster, who I've worked with on a few things, she's just like hyper recognizable. I don't know if you guys know her, stand-up comedian. You've seen her in everything. She was a swimmer. Shout out.
Oh,
really?
From North Carolina. Shout out Mecklenburg.
Oh my
Um,
God, Mac.
but like she's just super recognizable, and she's not the star of movies, but she's right there with the star in every scene. You know what I mean? Bringing like the comedic element. But yeah, so you are kind of sometimes you take that easy job where you're like, yeah, this is just what they want me to be. I'll be that. And then other times you have to go, you know what? Agents, send me some stuff that's a little outside my box. I'm going to read for it or whatever. And you won't get those parts most of the time because it's just too against the grain for even the casting director to be like, am I going to take this risk and look like an idiot? But then other times you nail it and they go, I'm going to send this through the director because I think that this could be the X factor we're looking for to make this movie just stand out in a little bit of a different way, you know?
So
So
how do
there
you
is a balance.
and how do you I mean, I imagine I just look at the whole entertainment industry. It's so just what one producer wants, what one agent wants. It's not like you touch the wall, yep, I won. You know, it's so clear
Mhm.
cut in swimming. How do you
Yeah.
manage that with the doubts and kind of just having to keep putting your head down and keep fighting? And how do you do that?
Um, you know, you just have to have kind of like what you had as a swimmer, which is kind of like you just get on the blocks and you go and you're like, I'm about to win this. I'm about to PR. Like I've done the work, you know, and you might not get the part, you might not get a PR, but like you have to dive in thinking you're going to do that every time, right? You know, unless you're mid-season, but you have an idea of what you should be doing at a certain point, right? And you got to go in an audition being like, this is mine. I got this. Are you kidding me? Like I just hammered this you know, you went over the part the night before, the day before that, the morning of, you go in like I'm going to nail this. But the flip side is that you might have I would say you might have PR'd, which means done the scene really well, but you didn't win the race. Someone else booked it. And you can't control that, right? Like I was saying earlier, all you can do is do your best, but you can't control if somebody's faster, aka better than you, um, or looked the part that they wanted. You know what I mean? All you can do is your best. And if you know you've done that, then you can leave a room and be like, whatever, I did my best. So, you know, that's it.
Yeah.
All I can do is keep doing my best and serving hot dogs at a restaurant until I can stop doing that or whatever. Not that that was my job, but, you know.
Which you would do to your best capability if you had to.
Yeah. I mean, would you guys stop swimming if you constantly PR'd but never won?
Yeah, I'm
That's a
with
tough
I'm with
question.
you on that. I think you and I have very similar philosophies in that in my mind, the greatest win for me was a best time because it was the best
Yeah.
I had ever been. And my competition was there to help me get to that point. So I think obviously
Right.
both of us love to win.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like I remember in London, I got fourth in the 200 free by 1/100th of a
Same.
second.
Me too. Yeah, me
Right?
too.
Yeah, you know, it's relatable. So of course I was bummed not to get a medal, but I won a best
Right.
time. So I was like,
Right.
that was
Yeah.
my best. Like that was it. And it wasn't good enough to be on the podium this time. And
Right.
that's okay. It stings, but it's okay.
Right.
Yeah. I think I was a split of that. Like I think I grappled
Katie's
with
like,
that.
no.
No, she's a little bit more of a
I mean, I'll
She's-
say I'm
She's like,
70,
you
30.
shouldn't let yourself off that easy.
90-10. I'll
You
give
should
you
feel
90-10.
90-10.
Yeah.
Like you should feel really bad about that. I mean, I've gotten fourth also,
Right.
and I was but different philosophies.
Right. She's like, I'm gonna burn this place down.
maybe.
Drain the
Yes.
pool right now.
Oh, man.
And by the way, that can also because I know people who do lose parts, and it fires them up. Like
Okay,
they're
that's
like,
making
oh,
me feel better. Thank
I'm
you.
never gonna. And these are the people I know who really succeed in this business, who don't take no for an answer, right? Who will call directors after they didn't get the part and be like, "You sure about this? You sure you don't want me in this
Sure
movie?"
about that? Does that
I know
work?
people who've
Has
done
that
that.
worked? Like if you call and be like, "Hey, I actually think I
Yeah,
deserve
yeah,
the
because
class."
they go, "Whoa, this person's like
They're fighting for it.
really
Yeah.
fighting for
Interesting.
this,
Okay.
and like if you're a director, that's what you want. I mean, to a certain extent, you might also be like, 911, I've got a stalker. You
Who do you
know,
think you are? Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense.
But like the competitive nature out here in
Yeah.
every industry, will serve you, to never quit and
Mm.
to never give up, in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit to what you said about having balance and constantly staying busy, because I think that's actually a really good point. Because when your swimming career did end, another thing that we talk about a lot is the transition, and sometimes how hard it is for athletes
Yeah.
of any
Yeah.
sport at any level when their athletic career ends, how hard it is to then move on to something else and something new. But
Right.
you had comedy. You had this other passion that you had been
Yeah.
fostering. Did that help your transition? What was that transition like for you when swimming was over and you were able to fully commit yourself into the comedy and entertainment world?
Yeah. I mean, let me just go back and touch on the beginning of the question, and then I'll get to the juicy end of the question. Um, I also think that like I was so balanced. I had other stuff. It was also probably a little bit of like, I'm not just a swimmer. That's why I'm not so fast. Like
Mm.
I also do comedy. I'm also like writing a screenplay. Like,
Almost like a
and
safety
maybe
net. So if things didn't go the way you wanted, you kind of had something to fall back on a little bit.
no, like more about like the ego thing I was talking about before. I'm like, I
Mm.
can't change my stroke. Like that's me.
Mm.
It was more like, yeah, but like this isn't my whole life, guys. So like, see ya. I'm gonna go like write my screenplay. And then if someone read the screenplay and they're like, yeah, it's pretty good, you go, I'm also an all-American swimmer.
I went 20 point in a
I
relay.
swim in college. Yeah. I went 20 point on a relay. Um, so it was a little bit of like a protection thing where I'm not all in on something to kind of protect myself from not being great, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or not being better. Like, because you guys both went to the Olympics. I think we had a couple Olympians on our women's team, and we had one guy who's American, who swam for Poland. But like nobody goes to the Olympics. It's crazy. Like you guys are legends, and it should be
Oh, well,
like you
thank
guys are
you.
legends, okay? And not everyone's legends, like us, like the three of us. Um, and so when you see these people who probably aren't going to the Olympics, who are still like some of the greatest swimmers on the planet, right? Just because
Mhm.
United States, college swimming here, it is the fastest swimming in the world, basically. Uh, it's like going pro. You're just not. But even those people aren't going to go to the Olympics, and you're kind of like, you're all in on something that's probably not going to happen, which I know is a horrible way to think about it. But I was like, I'm not going to go to the Olympics. I'm busy doing this other stuff too, and like, you're going to give everything to this thing that probably isn't going to happen. But I applaud that focus and that determination that I just didn't have. I think I just like wimped out,
Mm.
you know. Otherwise, I'd probably be on your guys' side of the camera. Am I right?
Hey, you're
Obviously.
still on the camera.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's true. But so then just to speak to the transition. So long story short, I was kicked off the swim team my junior year for a bar fight that shouldn't have happened. It was bad news. Again, 1 foot out of the door, I just was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do stupid stuff," as opposed to like really valuing what I had and what I was trying to do. But starting, freshman year in college, they're offering like film courses. And I'm like, I'm an idiot. All I do is watch movies. I can't major in like math or like history. I did major in history, but because this is how dumb I was, I started taking film classes, right? And then you had to have like a 3.0 to get into like the film school. Couldn't cut it. But up until my junior year, where you could take all these film classes, I was renting cameras. I was making like short films. I was writing scripts. um I was doing all these things. I had all this focus. And then so when I was kicked off the team, I thought if I kept training for the year, maybe they'd let me back on my senior year. So like I kept swimming. I think it was like 3 or 4 times a week. I was hitting the gym a lot, like doing weights and stuff, just so that if they're like, "Hey man, like you can come back," I'd be like ready to go. That didn't happen.
But
That's
credit
but
to
so
you.
That is, yeah, like what are you talking? That's so dedicated. Not many people would get kicked off the team and be like, I'm going to stay ready in case I get let back on.
I mean, sure, but it's also just like the saddest story ever.
Did you, can I
The
just, did
guys
you
are like
win the
leaving
bar
the pool and
fight?
I'm showing up and they're like, "Hey man," and I'm like, "What's up? What'd you guys just do? I'm about to do 2,500." Like, you know.
Oh man,
Um,
that is sad.
but so even my freshman, sophomore years, like when we're at our training trip in Hawaii and like, we're killing ourselves and everyone's just like gonna hit the beach during the day, I would do that too, but 3 or 4 days a week, I'd stay in the hotel room and, like, work on this screenplay I was writing, and people are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Me? Just writing the screenplay that's gonna change everything." Um,
It's just a
you
regular
know?
Tuesday afternoon.
Right, and then so when I left the team, I went all in and was writing and wasn't going out at all, like, on the weekends, just, like, focused on that and kind of, like, put my head down because I was like, "What is wrong with me? What's going on? I need to, like, get myself in check and chill." And wrote a couple screenplays that year and, like, started focusing on that, and I was living with swimmers, which is even worse because 'cause you're, like, just watching them, like, "How was it? Like, what's going on? Like, what's that joke mean?" You got the FOMO again.
Oh,
Um, but, like, uh, I was probably, like I was just a utility guy on the team, like, we only had I think it was, like, 13 people on our team my freshman year and 15 or 16 my sophomore. We're a very
Oh wow.
tight unit, but, like, really fast guys, like, I think we finished top 15 teams or I think top 15 team with just that few people. So like we all still hung out, we all still kicked it. It wasn't like a giant squad with like its own little cliques here and there. Um, but yeah, it was like you guys are doing that, well, I'm doing this. I'm busy. I'm keeping myself busy. And then, you know, everyone's like talking about what they're going to do after school. And some people are like, I'm moving to LA to train with Salo. And you're like, that's cool. I'm moving to LA to try and make it. Like and you tell yourself these things like, oh, I've got a plan after college too. Like, I'm going to LA and I'm going to do this thing. Um, Meanwhile, people are like, my girlfriend at the time, wife now, was also like, "You can't spell. You don't know where commas go. You can't be a writer," you know? But came out I, like, self-taught myself all the stuff and bought all these screenwriting books, and I was already kind of like, a movie buff or whatever, um, and I recognized, like, the patterns of story and had a little bit of a thing, um, and wrote a couple scripts for class. I wrote one for I feel like I've told this story somewhere before, but I took a TV class, and everyone was supposed to write a 7 to 10 page script, and then we were gonna film 2 scripts out of the students. I wrote mine, and then my buddy was like, "I don't know what this is," and I go, "I'll write yours too." And then they ended up selecting mine and my buddies to film.
Oh wow.
wow.
So I was a thing, you can lie to teachers and you can write scripts, right? Um, and so I
Your
had, like
first acting job,
and so I had
basically.
exactly. So I had a little nugget of, like, you're on the right track, and so when I moved to LA with, like, 3 bad screenplays, uh, uh, I was motivated to keep learning and keep teaching myself because you can't there's screenwriting courses, but, like, you have to wanna do it. So my transition from, like, as you guys know, like 20 something hours a week of swimming and gym to maybe not 20 hours of writing, but like many, many hours of writing and focusing on that. Like the transition to a new skill set was easy because nothing's harder than swimming, right? Like,
Seriously. And I'm curious about you. I know you started out writing. Was your intention always to just write, produce, or did you have this feeling of like, hey, like I'm pretty funny, like I think I could act as well?
When I said I'm pretty funny, I didn't do this with my neck like you just did. I would do this. I go, yeah, I'm
so
pretty
much
funny.
for calling
I'd
that
do this.
out. I so appreciate
That's
you.
how I give myself compliments to people. So I just
Mhm.
thought you did the same thing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I do like that. And you're in the mirror like, you go, girl. Um, so have you guys seen the movie Adaptation with Nicolas Cage where he plays himself and his brother?
I haven't. No.
It's a Charlie Kaufman movie, which means it's a weird movie. He wrote Being John Malkovich, which was a crazy weird movie that you guys should also see.
Okay.
But the premise of the movie is Charlie Kaufman, the guy who wrote the movie, is the star of the movie, and he's played by Nicolas Cage, and he's a screenwriter who like wants to just be the best screenwriter, but be like someone who writes like truth, and like art and like poetry. But he works in show business where people are like, we don't want that. We want to make money, right? And he's got a twin brother in the movie, played also by Nicolas Cage, and the twin brother's like this dopey kind of loser who's like, I'm gonna become a screenwriter like you. And he writes like this hit movie out of nowhere because he read like one screenwriting book. And then meanwhile, the Charlie Kaufman main brother's like, what is happening? How did my brother do this? I create art. Anyway, my dream was there's a scene in the movie where the artist Charlie Kaufman goes into like a fancy, expensive restaurant and gets food to go back to his home to like write. And he runs into like a producer, an agent, and says hi. And he's like, oh, I got to go back to my house. That was my dream. I was like, I just want to have a lifestyle where I can go to like the best restaurants in LA, get food to go, and then go back to my house and write weird stories.
This is the dream.
That was the dream.
Yep.
Like fancy food at home and writing weird stories and making a living off of that.
And look at you.
It's kind of that,
Yeah.
Is Chipotle fancy still? I don't know.
100%.
It's pretty fancy.
Yeah.
Y'all know that Missy and I are all about prioritizing our health. That's why on a daily basis, we are utilizing the Element electrolyte packets no matter what we're doing, pre-workout, post-workout, in a sauna session. It cannot be stated enough how much it helps keep our steady energy, improve our digestion, keep our skin hydrated, as well as help our cognitive function. Element packets allow you to maintain all of these extremely important aspects of health, and we cannot encourage our listeners to consistently get in their electrolytes with all of their amazing flavors. Get your free sample pack with any drink mix purchase at drinkelement.com/unfiltered. And if you're an Element Insider, you have first access to Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water, which I cannot state is so delicious. So go drink up and enjoy.
So that was like the lifestyle I wanted. And then I moved to LA, and writing is like super lonely in the way that like you're just alone. You're just by yourself, much like looking at the bottom of a pool. You're around people, but like for the most part, it's just you in a black line and
your own thoughts.
You're talking to yourself. Yeah. And because I had like a performer background, some of my buddies who were in LA also who weren't even in the business at all were like, why don't you go to like an improv class? Like just go clown around. And I was like, yeah, all right. Like this is a good way to meet other people who have aspirations. And that's where I met Adam Devine in an improv class. I was like, well, this dude has like legit SNL level characters like in his pocket, And then I think he just thought I was like a weirdo who tried to kind of at least give like beginnings, middles, and ends to improv scenes just because my writer brain was like, all right, where's this gonna go? Like, which I guess is not always good in improv, but yeah, so that's how I got onto the other side of the business is we started making internet shorts at the very genesis of YouTube when sketch comedy was kind of taking off.
And kind of touched on, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the things
I will.
I know you will. I know you will.
Oh, I will.
Love about
That's why she
you.
prefaced that.
I'm gonna correct you.
Let me have it. But I love hearing about how some of the things that swimming taught you kind of applied into this other area of your life. And it sounds like work ethic coming from all that
Mhm.
time and then being able to dedicate it to writing, and then
Mhm.
also being able to be alone and having your thoughts and just kind of having to sit with them. Were
Right.
there other things that swimming taught you that you felt like really aided you in your journey to become a writer, become an actor, kind of move through that transition?
Yeah, I think, and maybe this is just for guys, there's a little bit of like, you're okay, you're in a Speedo all day.
Yep. So hard. I can't imagine, honestly.
And look, it's just look, I was jacked. Like, wouldn't have wanted it any other way back in like, I look great in a Speedo back in the day, you know what I mean? But it doesn't matter. It's still a Speedo. Um, and just like culturally, even if you're like one of the best athletes at your high school or whatever, or college, you wear a Speedo. So there's a little bit of like a built-in check yourself kind of thing where like it's cool, but like it ain't that cool, dude. And so I feel like you've kind of already bared your soul and
Mm-hmm.
then some. Just being a guy who walks around in a Speedo all day. So there's a little bit of like a fearlessness. You know, I've been like naked in like 4 or 5 movies, and you're like, this is no big deal. And
I'm
like,
fine with it.
Yeah, your
yeah,
threshold
like
changes for
It
sure.
does.
so there's a little bit of bravery that just comes with that. And
Mm.
I just want to say I stand with all male swimmers out there in your bravery. Um, you know, and like there's a little bit of a when you leave the world of swimming and if you compete at a certain level, you kind of hang on to that pride and you're like, yeah, I was a D1 athlete. And they go, oh yeah, well, did you hoop or like what'd you do? And you're like, swim team. And people are like, oh, okay. Did you dive? And then like immediately it's like, did you
Just
dive?
dive.
And I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
That's a whole other
You're like, that's not even the same. You know what? I had this conversation with something. I'm like, it shouldn't be diving and swimming. Water polo and swimming are more closely related than diving. Like
yeah.
diving, you don't even take one stroke.
That should be your new cause.
I'm gonna stand on that hill and die on it.
Yeah. You know, so and like so there's just a little bit of like a humility, or I don't know what the
Mhm.
thing is, you know, like or
Not
the
take
oh, did you go
yourself
to the
too
Olympics?
seriously.
You guys at least get to answer the did you go to the Olympics? And you go, actually, yeah.
You're a
Because
little
that
swivel
is
there,
the
by the way.
question.
It
I know,
is.
but now I'm mirroring you guys. Um,
Yeah.
you know, like that's the like, especially if you tell people like it's
Mhm.
part of your identity. Like I don't have to tell anybody I swam, right? Because it was so long ago. But like eventually people are like, oh, where'd you go to school? And you're like, oh, Wisconsin. Like, oh, cool. Swam there. You know, nobody asks for it, but
Tater
like,
just kind of slips out.
yeah. Um, although I did go past, I was wearing a Wisconsin shirt the other day. Other day, it was like 4 years ago, and walked past his house, and this guy was outside. He goes, "Oh, did you go to Wisconsin?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, I played soccer there."
Did you
And
say,
I
"Oh,
was
I
like,
swam there"?
"No." I was like, "You weirdo. Nobody cares. Soccer's not football, you loser."
Seriously.
No, but it was just funny that I was like, I don't think I would ever lead with, I swam like, "Oh, where'd you go to college?" I swam at Wisconsin.
Mhm.
Although I do find myself instead of saying roommates, I say teammates just to pique the interest.
I love to see if people take the
Um,
bait with certain things like that. Like, are they that
yeah,
interested, or are they just passing and they don't care about me at all?
yeah. But anyway, back to the question, like, yeah, I think that there's a little bit of like fearlessness
Mhm.
where you're like, I've already lived half my life butt naked, with a Speedo. So I'm willing to like, for comedy, do all sorts of stuff. And now it's
Mm.
even funnier because I'm not in shape. I think, oh, you know what? I was at the I don't know if this was the one. I sat at a table with you, Missy, at
Golden
the Golden
goggles.
Goggles.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I maybe this wasn't that one. I was there at a couple, but like I came out in a Speedo
Oh,
in
it was
like
that one. I remember it was that one.
a very much like of
Yeah.
a post swimmer body, and had some bad joke about how they were like, they told me to wear a suit. I did not No, it meant black tie.
I thought it went over
Um,
great.
Of course it went over great
Yeah?
because I was obese.
Oh, not true.
No. No, it's just love handles. But like, it wouldn't have been funny if I was jacked. People would be like, okay,
So you wore a suit.
just
Yeah.
have a seat. Yeah. Um, but so yeah, the humility for comedy is kind of there. Um, but yeah, the work ethic. But again, back to me, I wasn't this like, I know guys who I swam with, this is now 20 years ago, who still swim every day
Mm.
and are like kind of almost as fast. Like it's
Wow.
who because they work hard, right? I again was the guy who's like, if I do the stuff on the board, I'm good, right? So I think I'm not like rise and grind, but I do have the like capacity to do more than the bare minimum, right?
Mhm.
Everybody who I know who came out to LA and was kind of like winging it off of their charm or didn't think they were like the greatest thing on earth, but were very funny, but that just didn't they just didn't know how to focus or like to focus and like to ask themselves, am I doing enough? They're gone or they haven't
Mhm.
found work or they haven't like zeroed in on what they should be doing, you
Mhm.
know? So like just the asking yourself, am I doing what I should be doing to get where I want to go? Um, I think I learned that in swimming, and I think I apply that more often than not. But again, everyone who I know who's out here that is a like workhorse or a hyper competitive, they wake up every day wondering how to get the next gig or how now to like get a new sponsorship or because everyone in my business is now diversified. you
Mhm.
know Everyone's not just acting, they're acting, producing, writing, starting like sport water brand, like everything.
Yeah.
It's like removable tattoos by Anders Holm. You're like, why?
I'd wear them.
I don't want a tattoo for more than a day. These are Anders Holmes. So like everyone's trying to find the new angle to get, more money on the table. And those people are killing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I took that. I still haven't had to shave my legs for anything professionally since swimming.
But you'll know how if the opportunity arises.
You have that skill set.
Damn right. And I have told, and this is something I think everyone should know, is that if you ever use an ice bucket at a hotel that is like Marriott to like DoubleTree range, a swimmer has shaved their legs into that. Because this is what guys do. I don't know if you guys would sit around like
We definitely
having like a
use the
hang session.
shower. I've never used an
Yeah,
ice bucket. Have you
No,
used an ice bucket?
no, I've never. Why is that a thing with guys?
because we would all just like sit around watching movies and like shaving
It had
into
to be a
like the ice
communal
buckets.
event. Yeah.
You guys had to
Yeah.
help each other. I feel like because we didn't have to shave our back in the same aggressive way that guys do.
I will say I shaved one guy's back one
Yeah.
time.
Thank you. We knew it happened, but
And you
it's
know
nice
what?
to.
I'm still here. I'm still standing. Yeah. But that's something I give everybody a warning about. Just don't use those things.
Be aware
Use
of
the
the ice
bag thing that
bucket.
goes into
Use
it.
the bag. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Well, we have a sprint round of questions for you that
Great.
just go rapid fire. We could sit here talking to you
You're
all
talking to
day.
a sprinter.
I'm talking to a sprinter.
That's why
yes.
we're doing sprint rounds.
Yes.
Right.
So first things up is if you were in a 50 free matchup with Gretchen Walls, who just went 20.4 in the 50 free, who would win in your heyday? Who would win in your heyday?
She would win. She would win.
I thought you'd
Yeah.
put up a little more of a
She
fight
would win.
than-
By the way, this is going to come across so bad.
Oh,
But what else is new? I now am more interested in women's swimming because I can relate to the times. Like
It's wild.
it comes
like
across
they're as
awesome.
fast
Yeah.
as what's that?
It comes across amazing. What do you mean? I love that.
Well, because before I kind of was like, oh, it's like 23 fast.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's pretty, like it's 22 low fast. I don't know. Like, but now that they're swimming faster than I was, I'm like, whoa, 20.4? This is insane. And I'm like standing in my kitchen demanding my kids come in and I go, you don't understand what just happened. I'm running it back. Everybody, you guys got to watch this.
Run it back.
Watch this. And I'm like, That meet was crazy.
Insane.
I gotta get on whatever those Walsh sisters are drinking. I gotta get on that.
I think it's Celsius.
They have a Celsius sponsorship.
Oh,
Okay. I gotta get on the Celsius. That was one of those NCAAs where you just go, this is the one that the standard for a very long time.
yeah.
You know, I think Lochte had a few swims like that back in the day, where you're just like, well, how is it going to get faster than this? You know, and Dressel, I think Natalie Coughlin had swims like that where you just go, where do we go from here? You know, and I think that this year was one of those where you're just like, good luck, everybody else. Like
For the next 10 years.
Literally.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Anyway, and I think that like those generational swims, like Neil Walker going 44 in the 100 backstroke back in the day,
What a throwback.
where you just go, what? How is this possible? And like the swims that stand for quite a while till they change some of the rules. You know, I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, no, she would house me.
She's wild.
But if I got like a 5-second lead,
There's a chance.
there's a chance right now. If I go shave, I'm fully tapered. Yeah,
We'll get
she
you a
would
nice
win.
bucket.
Sorry, was this a sprint round or was this a ramble for 20 minutes
We
round?
turned it into a distance freestyle round, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It turned into somebody dropped the counter and he's still going.
She's still swimming.
By the way,
Still
if you
swimming.
ever watch somebody drop the counter, it is like the funny, because they're like flipping and they go, they just start looking around.
It's so
like,
funny.
Panic.
Are they DQ'd? Do I need another one? And then if you're swimming, you're like, you see it at the bottom, you're like, okay.
Shouldn't have picked that kid.
You're like, it's over. Instant anger towards like, how do you drop it? Like,
Unreal. All right, sorry. Back to sprint round. Go, sprint round.
Okay, well, I do want to shout out your podcast because it's so exciting. So this is important.
Right.
You guys just got voted by iHeartRadio 2024 Comedy Podcast of the Year, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So congrats on that.
I mean, it's just hard to be the funniest podcast. As they said, you know, we didn't say we're the funniest. It's official. We are the funniest. You know, and you want to thank everybody else out there for trying. You know, but it's been said, it's official.
Yep.
We're the funniest. So thank you.
Absolutely. We are so proud and it is hysterical.
It's so funny.
All right. So out of you, Kyle, Blake, and Adam, who is the Jason Lezak?
Who's the Jason Lezak? Ooh. Speaking of a giddy up in the stroke, I'm going to say it's Kyle.
Okay.
And by the way, so the guys used to live in the Workaholics house, like the house from Workaholics, and it has a like lap pool that's probably like, I don't know, 30 feet long. And back in the day, we would do medley relays. And like, I would do backstroke because I could just do a stroke count. And then I think Blake would do breaststroke. Kyle would do butterfly because he swam as like a really little kid, and his uncle was a swim coach. And then Adam would do freestyle at the end. So like, we've got a little swim background.
There you go.
So funny.
And although Adam anchored that relay, I think Kyle is our dark horse, our like sure thing.
I love it. And again, for little context, for those who don't know, Jason is the famous anchor of the 2008 4x100 freestyle relay, fastest anchor of all time, helped get Michael his 8th gold. And it's like one of the most epic anchor relay performances of all time. So that's who we're referencing when
if
we
you've
talk
been living
about
under a rock,
It's crazy.
Jason.
Yeah.
And
by the way, like that's another swim where you go, well, good luck, everybody. Like, and it's still the fastest split, I believe.
I think it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
And Jason's not doing 15 meters, you know, off the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Right. He's just like, he's old school. I think he was in a paper suit. I mean, are you guys so young you don't know what paper suits are?
So I'm 6 years older than Missy, and I barely know what a paper suit. I'm an '89 baby, so it was like I was the
Then they were
Aquablade.
kind of phased out.
Yeah, they were
Aquablade. Aquablade
Aquablade.
came
I
and
do
changed
know
the game.
Aquablade. Yeah.
Aquablade did change the game.
Aquablade came out, I think, my senior year of high school, like which is the 98, 99 year.
Okay.
But before that, you'd wear like these things called paper suits, which had like no give, and they were like crinkly and like crackly like paper, and they would tear if you weren't careful, they would just split. And so that was my sick reference for anybody over 40.
I love it. I hate to go into our
Anyway.
final 3 questions,
Yeah.
but I feel like we have to for time's sake. We want to keep talking to you all day. We know you have so much
Let's
to
do
get
it.
back to, but same 3 questions we ask all of our guests on our podcast. So
Yeah.
we tweaked them a little bit. First one, though, is the moment or memory from your swimming career that brings you the most amount of joy when you think about it today.
Let me think about it. I mean, I will just say like the geez. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, because that's such like a spectrum of like emotions or times or like, oh, what was my best swim? But I would just say that the training trips I got to take to Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
we were there for I think 23 days. Like we had the longest
Jeez.
training trip of anybody who I knew, and it was in Hawaii. It just seemed special. Like and you were getting annihilated in practice, and you just felt like you were like really in the trenches, but then also part of this privilege of, even though we're staying at like these like horrible hotels, like cockroaches everywhere. And like, you're swimming like 20 to a room. No, but you felt like you were part of something special, and committed to something. We just had the best times, and per diem. I'm sorry. You guys are just giving me money every day to eat. I'm rich. I'm a rich
I
person.
feel like at that point you just felt like you were a queen. Yeah. I'm so rich now. Like here's my $100. So true.
Yeah. Hey guys, Burger King's on me today. No, but just like driving around Hawaii with like seniors driving the bus and like going across to like a special beach for the day. It just seemed like unbelievable. That was just my life.
I feel like honestly the number one answer is like a training trip or training camp. It's the memories with your teammates and friends for sure. All right, same question, but just a moment or memory in the entertainment or your acting career that's brought you the most joy.
I don't let's think. The moment that brought me the most joy. I will say that just off the top of my head, the night that Workaholics premiered, and this was like before we even aired. They just aired one episode after the Donald Trump roast on Comedy Central. That's how long ago this was. He was
I
just a
remember
TV
that.
personality. And they just were like, "Hey, we're going to play your guys' episode after the roast to kind of like get it out there for people," because that was their biggest like launch pad for audiences. And we all gathered together at the Workaholics house with some of the writers, and we were going to go to like Miami the next day to do like our first like press thing where we were going to like start promoting the show. And we all just sat there. The episode came on. We're like drinking beers and like hanging out, and we're like, "This is crazy. This is it." And then like we partied all night, woke up in the morning, and then like some of the writers even came to Miami with us. So it was a very like bonding thing. And I think that was just like kind of a peek into the future where it's like you did it. You're on TV. The ideas you wrote, the things you filmed, it's here now, and they're gonna pay you more. Like it's just like it became real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I
Absolutely.
can't thank Donald Trump enough.
perfect ending
for
to
the
that.
for the lead in.
For the launching pad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so fun for you all to celebrate together. And our final question is, if you had to pick one word to encompass you, something that you're working on, kind of a perspective you try to have, what would that word be and why?
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys emailed me this question, not to kind of like be inside baseball and show everybody behind the scenes, but you guys said, "Hey, think about this." And if you didn't, we'd be here for 45 more minutes of me being like, "One word."
It's hard.
Uh, and by the way, I don't even know if this is it, but the word was fun,
Mhm.
and I understand that like fun's not it can't be 24/7. There's some things that are serious and you got to focus on. But like if you're not having a good time or if you're not enjoying something, you don't have to do it for fun, but like I enjoy finding the lighter moments and things. And like even if I'm doing a movie with like a serious heartbreaking scene or like, I gotta go there and I gotta like reach deep and be miserable and like you do, if you're tapping in as an actor, like if you're portraying being miserable or like heartbroken or whatever, like you do like feel those feelings for that moment,
Mhm.
right? Your body like it tricks you, right? You get the hairs on the back of your neck. Um, Even if you're doing that, when they call cut, if you can be like, "Whoa, that was crazy. We're having a good time." You know what I mean? Like if you're having fun doing it, I don't want to do a show or have a job where I go home and I'm still like wearing the
Mm.
weight of the show. Like I remember I was up for some you know mini series, 10 episodes where I was gonna play like some deranged psycho killer, right? And I was just like, that sounds like it's not fun. Right?
Little heavy. Little
Seriously.
heavy.
Like, is every day on set gonna be like quiet and the director's gonna come over and go, okay, so remember you're tortured. Like I just am I don't need to squeeze that orange for that
I
juice.
know.
So, I just did this show Monarch with like Godzilla and like running from monsters and like I'd never done anything like that. I'm doing sitcoms, I'm doing rom-coms and movies. This is me screaming and shouting and like having moments where people are dying and I'm losing loved ones, like that's cool. That's fun. And swimming. I was like, are we having a good time? Like, is this awesome? Like Hawaii, that was fun. As brutal as the training was, it was still like a good time. So yeah, my words fun. Let's just have a good time.
Love it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh, well, we'll wrap up. Thank you so, so much. This has been a blast and you are amazing. And we had so much fun talking with you.
Thank you guys. You guys are legends. I appreciate what you're doing. This is huge. As we said before, like we hopped on, swimming's like everywhere now. And I think it's so cool because when I was a kid, you had to wait every 4 years to see anything on swimming.
Mhm.
Like, and now like you guys are talking about it. You're talking about your experience. You can watch swimming all the time. So I just think it's really cool to come on here and talk my 10 cents and I I wasn't an Olympian, and I did other stuff, and like,
It
Exactly.
doesn't make
if
your
you're
10 cents any less important.
in a way, it does though, doesn't it though? Because if
No.
I came on with like my medals clanging, I'd be like, oh, is that bad for sound? Let me just take all these off.
You should have done
Um,
that anyways. Just found some medals and come on
no, but I've been listening to your guys' episodes, and it's
Oh.
very cool to hear people come on and talk and
Mhm.
give insight to everything that goes into their journeys. Or I guess we're throwing around the word journey a lot these
Yeah.
days. I'm gonna come up with a new word. How about just like life?
Life.
But anyway, it was really cool to see you again and meet you and try and have fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
Definitely accomplished. Thank you so much. We so appreciate you. And
Thank you
hopefully,
guys.
are you going to be at trials or anything this summer?
Um, let's just say I'm back in the water.
Okay. All right, love that.
No, you know what? I was talking with Brett Hawk, and he was like, I got tickets, mate. I got a deck pass for you. And I'm like, dude, I would love nothing more. But I don't know. I want to try and go to Paris. I think that would be great.
Okay. We'll be there.
We'll be at
let
trials
us know.
in Paris, so please keep in touch, and hopefully we can
Very
run
cool.
into you and maybe even watch some swimming together. We'd love that.
Yeah.
No doubt.
All
No
right.
doubt.
Go
I'll
back
be walking
to
around in my
your
Speedo.
wonderful family. Oh, well, yeah, we'll know
I
who
will.
to look for.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's
thank you so
me.
much.
You guys are like, oh my God, he's here. We go,
We
go,
thought he
go,
was
go,
kidding.
go,
Oh
go,
my
go,
God,
go.
this was
There's no way he has a deck pass. Go on deck. Go on deck.
Go. Oh, appreciate you
Thank
so
you, guys.
much.
See
Tell
ya.
your family thank you for the time too.
Hey. Thank you so much for listening and watching Unfiltered Waters. We are so grateful for your support. If you could please hit that subscribe button on any of the channels that you're watching, and maybe even give us a rating or review, we would appreciate it so much. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.